Start streaming. I almost said screaming.
No, it's just kind of.
That's not a
slow
scream, that's more
head
groan.
turn. I mean,
alright,
I could just
that's not
unleash my full girly pipes.
Unleash.
Unleash my full girly pipes.
We are officially live.
Oh, hi, Internet.
Hello,
Fancy meeting you here.
and welcome back.
If you have any questions about to Scavenger Hyena about his girly pipes,
I had to say that right as the stream was going up.
I just highly recommend not saying anything and ignore that entirely. How about that, guys? Does that sound great? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
We're doing that. Now then, who wants to do our recap?
I could. I don't remember who did the last one.
I think I did.
Sounds about right.
Whoever wants to go, give her a go.
Alright. As of... I believe... correct me if I'm wrong, but this is all happening the same day, right, so far?
Yes.
But, as of our, emergency landing on the ASR Van Bruin, we have discovered the nature of the threat that befell the ship. A viral contagion has consumed the crew, leading to their berserk hostility and mutation. Cogs are unaffected by it, and as a result of the contamination of the crew, mass system failures have ensued. We went below the passenger areas into the engineering deck and met with Wrench, the systems and engineering AI, a terse, if well-meaning fellow, who gave us some information on the situation, and tasked us with rescuing copies of himself and all of the other system AIs, his last remaining friends and companions aboard the wrecked ship. Upon returning to the crew section, with data disks in hand and a goal in mind, we heard gunfire coming from the casino and met a rather suspicious and well-decorated cog individual, a former pirate who had been wrecked on the ship for upwards of a year. His only friend, the chipper, if traumatized, casino AI. And with them, we made another deal. Get them off the ship. We're starting your rescue party, I guess. If I missed anything, feel free to let me know. I believe that was the gist of it.
That sounds about right. Anybody have anything to add?
We got
No,
guns.
it says-
Nope.
Speaking of which, I should actually exit challenge mode, because I did that all off the top of my head because I forgot to open my notes folder. Yep. Skulk and Pips. That Skulk was the name of the cog, Pips was the name of the casino AI.
Yep. Now then, unless anybody has anything else you'd like to say, you have executed the unwanted guest in the closet of the casino and have added a new member to the party, quote unquote. Now it's time to reconsolidate and figure out what your next step is. Pips has downloaded their a copy of their information onto the relevant data disk, and you are now able to move freely about the rest of the ship. However, if I recall correctly, one of the plans had been to return to Wesley with the information you currently have.
Yes. There was concern that he doesn't know about the whole situation with, the creatures, and it'd be good to keep him appraised of the situation.
We also found a bunch of spare parts and power cells and stuff, and that's
a good
things he needs. So,
yep. Plus, it'd be good, unless me/Daxon has reason to believe otherwise, I'm going to assume that our ship that we came in on is a relatively safe area, because you can seal it up. So if we need to rest there, that would probably be our best option. Plus, I think it would be just fair on principle to let Wesley know that we're bringing aboard a bunch of AIs and a cog. Especially since the cog is kind of obviously a pirate,
There's
Just a
also
little bit.
there's also the issue that we might have to repair things, and that's not really something any of the party is capable of.
Yeah. More or less, yep. All in all, we have a lot of reasons to go back.
Alright.
Ending a voyage.
Okay. So, let me get you guys moved over to here.
There we are.
As you exit the casino, Max shows up again. There he smiles congenially, as always, and he attempts to make some kind of statement regarding the short arrival of security to deal with the gunfire, but it comes out horribly, horribly garbled beyond all recognition. You just recognize a couple words here and there in between it all.
Poor guy.
Just ignoring him.
Daxon kind of... Daxon over-anthropomorphizes the AI, no matter how smart or dumb they are, so he just sort of gives Max a sort of apologetic, expression, and promptly goes on his way.
Yeah, I think a minor thank you would be sufficient.
Yep. With that in mind, let's see. Ugh, find myself.
Well, job to do.
That came across as way more philosophical than I was intending it to be.
She's still just kind of shaking her head that you brought Borg stuff on this station.
Alright.
I'm
You brought Borg stuff
heading over
on
to the security.
this station.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Oh, God.
Nas
Right then. Let me get back to the map. As you head along, you see that there's been a update on the vid screens to the center of the large doorway.
This one?
Mm-hmm. It seems that they'll be serving macaroni for lunch.
Nice.
Yummy.
Also, that emergency response personnel should be there shortly.
Well then.
So,
Also,
What?
is
Yes.
Skulk coming with us?
yes.
Okay.
He is indeed following you.
Cool.
Kind of walking through drones.
Okay. It's not exactly difficult to navigate through the basically empty hall. You eventually make your way back to the hangar.
Sweet.
It's now that the hall is more or less more active than it used to be, you can hear the faint echoes of the music bouncing through, even all the way through down to through that elevator. It's a little bit less genuous than it would seem otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
especially given your newfound knowledge of the area. However, the very welcome sound of a welding torch and mild grumbling from Wesley is more than comfort enough. He looks up from underneath the hull of the ship and the side of the engine side that he's currently working on when he hears your footsteps. Well, what's the news?
The ship is infested.
The hell does that mean?
It's infested. The crew has been infected with some sort of virus. They're crazy and hostile.
Oh, isn't that pleasant?
Well,
Plague
we
ship.
don't actually have all the details yet.
No, it's mostly just conjecture at this point, but they're hostile and very hard to put down.
Well, it wouldn't be some kind of crazy-ass ghost ship if we didn't have something in there. Well, would it?
No. I suppose
Any
this-
more wonderful news to brighten my soul cycle?
Actually, yes. We found some spare parts and things. You know. Some stuff off your list.
That
out
is
of character. We found some
actually
spare
good
parts. Points to the cog.
That is actually good news and does indeed brighten my day. I see we have a friend.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's not all good news, yeah.
Daxon gestures between Skulk and
Yeah.
Wesley and says, Wesley, this is Skulk.
Yes.
Only survivor we've located other than the ship AIs.
All the AIs are intact. Nice to meet you.
More or less.
Well, intact is a strong word.
Skulk interrupts and leans against one of the canisters. Very strong. They're all active, he air quotes, but they're far from functioning. Except Bob. Bob's dead. He was dead before I showed up.
Rip Bob.
Who the hell is Bob? Bob is the chef AI.
I only have
Ah.
one momentum.
Well, that sucks. No food in here, I guess.
Does explain the state of the kitchen.
True. Yeah, I will
So
spend...
you actually have a
I will
ship.
require a little bit of prep.
Actually have a way off this bucket. Why are we still here?
Repairs.
Because exactly. Your dumb friends outside shot us the hell up. Of course, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't potentially have a way off this bucket. So, do you know your way around a wrench? In a figures speaking. Let me guess, you've taken apart more than one person's cruiser, yeah? Well, I don't give a shit. I just need to know whether or not you can help me fix this thing.
Daxon does kind of butt in and says, listen, we don't care about anyone's checkered histories.
So they're not.
We're
behaving
just
like a
here to get
civil
off the ship.
unit. They're-
After that,
like-
we go our separate ways, we all get our second chances. I'm not leaving anyone behind on this ship, no matter who you are.
It's funny you say that. I know there's other survivors. There's
Really?
only... I've never met them, but I've seen their work. I don't think they're all that friendly, some. I mean, hell, if you'd come into that casino earlier, I might have shot you up.
Well,
Just for the sake of no chances, you know?
I was gonna say that.
Daxon shrugs and says, I
unit.
don't care. It's my job to get people off the ship.
I'm just saying, they might not want off, some of them. But, hey, that's not up to me. I just want off this bucket. And
No, he's.
That's enough for me.
Sorry, she's talking to. Yes.
Just to chime in here, Skulk, I know you could probably help out with repairing the ship and all, but I'd probably feel more comfortable if we had a fifth person walking around on the search crew.
I'm not gonna. Now that I know I have a way out, I'm not going back in. I'm sorry.
Plus, to be blunt, Daxon says, kind of sticking up for Skulk, leaving somebody solo on the ship sounds like a good way of getting them killed.
Look. If you had seen the things I've seen while you've been on this hell, you'd know why I don't want to go back out there. I know you want me to help you, but the best way I can help you right now without losing what's left of my mind is not going in there. I want nothing to do with those things ever again. The faster I can see the back end of this, the faster I'll be happy. So, if it's all the same to you, the best warning I can give you is if you go to the living quarters, expect trouble. If you go to medical bay, expect trouble. I've never been up there. The elevator's been down this whole time. Never had to go up there. But one thing I know for sure, I've never heard of anyone getting out of the bridge. Whatever's on that level, that's been sealed off for the entire time I've been here. Probably longer.
I understand what you're saying. However, I am slightly concerned that Wrench might have access to the ship's guns, and our deal with Wrench was to try and retrieve all of the AIs.
Hey, I'm just warning you that if you try to get up there, the only way to there is through medical.
I understand, and I'm merely pointing out the possibility that should we not attempt to go back and, complete the deal, we might be shot leaving. You've seen what happened to Max. We've seen what happened to Wrench. There's no telling. As far as I'm concerned, yes, it's dangerous, but there's also a risk if we leave without trying. And unlike the four of us, you actually seem to know the layout of the ship and what the most dangerous areas are. Out of character, just mentioning it, Nusig really doesn't want to leave a pirate that we just met with our only ship and our only pilot alone?
Yeen, you're, muted.
Oh, I was gonna say, as a counterpoint, though, our ship currently can't fly, and I don't feel like leaving Wesley alone where he can get ambushed and torn apart by monsters if he's unlucky.
If I may, instead of voicing such worries, Cecily is gonna basically take Wesley to the side, so the others won't necessarily overhear. And just ask him. You think you can handle that guy in case he tries anything?
Wesley smiles gently and pats his right arm. I know you probably can't tell, but this one isn't real.
Okay.
My particular skin condition makes it hard to tell the difference between what parts of me are machine and what parts are natural. But this one has a let's just say it's not strictly legal firearm stashed inside. Tries anything funny, and there won't be much of him left.
All right. Well,
I can handle it.
Well, in that case, if you're okay with it, we'll just leave him here with you.
Yeah, I understand your concerns. Believe me, I share them. But Daxon has the right idea. Anybody who's been alive on here deserves an opportunity to get the hell out. So, the way I figure it, we might as well keep them. Alright, Skull, come here. You've probably seen these. It's a decade or two old, but I need you to fix this plating here, and if you can, manage this rewiring here. I'm gonna take these power cells and hook them up after you finish that. In the meantime, I'm gonna check and organize what parts we have, and make sure that we actually have the ones I need. Do y'all have any idea of any way to get the local relay system of any kind back up so we can stay in communication? Well, we might not be able to use the soul net. If I'd be able to rig my toggle to use the local network, and that way I can actually PA you, I guess.
Yeah, about that. The engineering AI said that at least parts of it are down.
And tasked us to bring them back up.
Yeah, he gave us some instructions where to go, and I'm not an engineer. I have no idea what half of this means.
He looks over the instructions. Oh, this is really simple. What he's having you do is go down the basic troubleshoot log. In other words, go find the relay box. It's usually in a maintenance closet of some kind.
Okay.
Turn on the console, if the console can still turn on at all. If it can't, there's another whole list of instructions on how to fix that. And if it still won't after you've done that, then there's a manual switch that you can pull that will force it open. Even if it won't function properly, at the very least the AI will then be aware of it. It'll be part of the network, even if it's broken, and then can fix what it can through a software patch.
Okay.
Basically, all you're doing is turning the damn thing on, if it can be turned on. And if you can't, you force it on. And from there, the AI wrench will do his part.
That sounds simple enough.
Cecily's eyes kind of start glazing over.
Don't worry about it. It's a lot less complicated than we make it sound. That's part of how we keep our jobs. Now then, if it's all the same to y'all, I've got some work to do. I've got to go through these parts. It looks like we've got what we need, but I won't know if it's salvageable and usable until I actually take a look. Have fun on the plague ship.
Right. Before we leave, Skulk, Max said something about security responding to gunfire. Have you ever seen security show up?
Skulk looks up from the wires he was detangling. Everyone else is mostly dead.
So we don't have to worry about some sort of automated security team.
The only automated security that could have been sent down would again have to pass through the medical. Part of, as near as I can figure out, how this ship was kept secure was that every deck could be isolated from all the other decks. That's why I've only ever been to the living quarters and the main hall. Everywhere else I've never even been to. I know they're there, and sometimes those things come down and visit me through the ventilation systems and other who God knows how ways. But for the most part, everything can be sealed off. Probably
Right,
in the event of attack from, you know.
We'll try and focus on getting the local relays up first before moving on. Stay safe, you two.
Yeah. Don't die on me now.
It wasn't in my horoscope.
Believe me, we'll try not to.
The elevator ride up feels a little bit less crowded, but also somewhat more somber. You make it back to the main hall. Easy enough. Hey Yin, I think you might be muted again.
I put on push to talk.
Oh, okay.
Since there's a conversation going on in the background.
No worries, I just wanted to make sure. Okay. So, the main hall has sparklingly incandescent as it always is. As you pass by the water fountain, a spurt of what could have been water once, but is now a muggy brown mess, spouts out of one of the sides.
Lovely.
Ew.
Ugh.
As you enter one of the main entryways, Pips shows up. Her hologram is decidedly smaller than Max's, whereas Max's is intended to be a full-sized vector. Pip seems to be intended as more of something that could show up on your shoulder. I'm sorry, what was that?
So she's a micro, but a hologram.
Essentially. She waves you over to the main fountain and then points further back towards the elevators. I've activated the elevators enough to get you to the living quarters. I can't do much anything beyond that. When Max, well, whatever happened to him happened, a lot of his functions that normally I don't have access to, well, he's broken enough that his sub-AIs can take care of that. Me being one of them.
Could you guide us to the disconnected conduit?
Yeah, actually. I could point you exactly where you need to go. The living quarters don't have hologram properties, though, so I won't actually be able to be there.
But you can, like, blink the lights, couldn't you?
I could show you where you need to go. The problem is, based on the information Wrench gave me and what I can gather from the systems there, you're gonna have company.
A lot of company?
More than you found when you were down in engineering.
Well, that's not very specific, but thanks for the help.
I'm sorry. The life support systems are kind of shot out here. We can tell that we have breathable oxygen and certain other things, but on this deck it's a lot. Based on what you told me earlier, it's a lot worse up here. Makes sense. Not a whole lot of people went down into engineering.
Alright, so say we were going to try and rescue Max too. I know he's shot, but is there backups anywhere?
Yes, the relay station is oh, hello. Welcome, Arcane.
Hey.
The relay station is also where we keep the living quarter AI backups. Physical downloads that you put onto an independent data disk that you rewrite over a certain amount of time. Nobody was there to actually do the rewrites, though.
No one.
Well, I mean, you know, everybody's basically dead.
Right.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't like thinking about that. It's really creepy and weird and gross and...
Well, let's get a move on. If we're quick about it, well, maybe we can pull this off.
I would recommend trying to be as quiet about everything as you can. They seem to respond to a lot of noise. So if you keep it... Go ahead.
Newsig's gonna heft his hefty gun and say, would this be too loud?
Probably. If you want to bring everything in that area on top of you, that's how you do it.
I'm
But
going
then
to...
again...
So keep the gunfire to a dull roar. Got it.
If you can. I'm just saying, I'd rather see you come back. Please?
Dr. Lucifer is going to think on something while he says, do any of you have any ability to make, let's just say, suppressors? Sniping.
Newsig points to the one on the end of his gun and says, trust me, it's not gonna help.
Alright.
Don't know what you've seen in the Holovitz, but these don't actually make guns particularly silent.
Doesn't make them silent, just doesn't deafen you. Still, any noise gunshot volume is gonna echo. Doesn't matter if it's suppressed or not. Suppressed gunshot is about the sound of a door slamming particularly hard.
Yeah, the only way we could consider using firearms is if we're in a soundproof room, which would be pretty much anything that's space sealed. But there's not going to be very many of those. So let's just keep that in mind. I'm probably not going to be able to help much if we run into those guys. Not if we don't want to attract more.
Then I would probably suggest we finish those encounters with the Mother Swift.
Now then, that said, the elevator is active, and you are able to move to the proper living quarters deck. It's not really a full floor above. It's kind of more of an aside sort of thing. Does that make sense?
It's a tram more than a.
Elevator,
Which
per se.
Yeah.
we don't have.
Yeah, it's technically the way this ship is built. They're made to go left, right, and up and down. So they're the fancy kind.
Alrighty.
Ooh,
Science fiction elevators are nice.
They
Willy
are.
Wonka Vader. Nice.
Willy Wonka.
Once you enter the living quarters proper, you can understand where most of the problems happened. Blood, scorch marks, bullet holes, bodies, what's left of them anyway. Even in the entryways, it's very clearly this place. This was probably one of the worst hit.
Tons of people in a small space.
All caught by surprise, unable to fight back.
These were just civilian passengers too.
I'd
Some of
imagine
them
most of the
probably
casualties are going to be civilians. I mean, that's just how a cruise liner works.
Thing that gets you more, almost than anything else, though, is the deafening silence.
That reminds me, is Skulk with us?
No, he stayed back with Wesley in the hangar.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but it is what it is. Alright. So, Nusik is going to keep an eye out for any flashing lights for navigation from Pix.
Fair enough.
And Daxon is going to kind of keep watch down this approach.
I've got the other hallway.
As you move forward along this side, you can see that there was a sort of concession stand, a mini bar of sorts. Most of the supplies are missing or ripped apart. Garbage litters it, and you can make out through the sales window a few bodies. Pistol still clutched in the hands of one of them.
Ooh,
Any identifying markings on the one holding the gun?
It looks to be the same sort of uniform you saw on the security personnel on the main hall, but beyond that, there's not a whole lot left. It's been torn apart.
The momentum.
Hmm.
One distinct thing you can tell about it, though, is it seems to be missing its head.
Oh, that would make identifying it quite difficult.
It might still very well be in that room, but you might not want to go in there to find out.
Daxon has a strong stomach, and he sure doesn't.
I'll check over there as well.
Just for future reference, this is the door.
Okay.
I'll open it.
any sign from Pix?
Not yet. As Daxon moves to the corner, you see this doorway's light flash. And then this one.
leading us down the hallway.
Mm-hmm. Lucifer, as that door slides open, more creaks open, but close enough, you find that, yes, the head's still in there. It's just mangled beyond all belief. And across the room. Pleasant.
Dr. Lucifer's going to... what was that?
I said
Grab the
charming.
pistol.
Yeah, I would grab the gun.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the pistol.
Good idea.
Probably won't be able to use it.
That's not the important part.
Oh, and Dr. Lucifer's gonna wear some gloves first, then grab the pistol.
I don't blame you. As you go through the room, though, you do notice that there are some ID cards that are left scattered around. While they may not be the ones that belong to the people in the room, at the very least, that can help give it a log of people who are missing.
And we might be able to use one of those to access a future deck. Like medical.
It's possible.
Wouldn't hurt.
By the way, what type of pistol did I carry?
It's of the same kind. The one that you found, it's of the same kind that you typically find in the hands of IRPF. It's not exactly fancy, but it's a standard service pistol. Looks like
Standard.
it could still potentially work, too. It just doesn't seem to have any ammunition left.
Oh well.
Like
Okay,
I made a last stand here.
I'll probably do my best just to clear it off first.
Right then.
Alright, shall we keep moving?
Mm-hmm. Once we head to
Jackson
medical,
is going to be moving cautiously as he
As
creeps down the
you-
hallway on point.
As you approach that door, it slides open, revealing a rather barren room. All the furniture seems to have been yanked out of it. Except the bed, which is bolted to the wall.
Ah,
Standard space affair, though. That's not all that untypical.
well,
I guess it's probably a better chance just to investigate.
The light flashes repeatedly on that door. However, as you approach it, you realize that it's still locked.
okay. If the party wants to move up, Daxon is going to move to this corner to cover them.
You want me to try and open the door?
If you could, that would be fantastic.
I'm going to, with my sword out, I'm going to check this door.
Any particular reason why that door?
More ID cards. Let's make sure we investigate this.
Let's stay as a group for now. Because only two of us can actually do anything in here. Hicks was very explicit about the no guns thing. Okay. So what kind of door am I looking at here?
Well, this one seems to be a bit more heavy duty than the other doors you see. Most of those are, standard, super nice, polished hydraulic doors that open from side to side and make a pleasant whoosh noise. You know the one.
Oh yeah.
However, this one seems to be intentionally reinforced. It's also covered in blood.
Well, it isn't. It's like this place is getting a new paint job.
Not that, blood being covered on things isn't, particularly a new idea in this area.
Yeah.
Also, not really good for not the best fashion statement.
He has a point there.
It's the sort of whatchamacallit. It's the sort of door you would need a keycard to open. Ow.
Wait, we have a key card. Or two.
Yeah, you want to try, what's it? You want to try one of the security ones first?
Yeah, I have a couple crew IDs, but I have a key card with barcodes and numbers on it.
Alright, let's switch. You can deal with the door and anything inside, and I'll keep watch.
Sounds good. Since Tygon is AFK, I would just have Cecily post up on this corner, watching the hall behind us.
I was just going to keep my ears open for any movement in the ventilation shafts.
That is a good idea and very clever. Especially since, what's his name said that was a problem.
Okay, I'm gonna need body perceives from everybody. I'll roll for Sissel.
What difficulty?
It's a 2, if you don't mind.
Why is it always a 2?
Because 2 is the standard.
I'm gonna +1 that 3. Because, fuck.
Yeah, you need it. Since my body is now 2.
Wow, actually decent across the board.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I have a
computer for
simplify.
being all laggy and weird right now. It's totally what I need.
I forgot to say that I have simplifications of body perceive when listening.
Okay, give me 1 second here, guys.
Lag City.
Nice. No, my computer's just being a butt. Saying, oh, you can't extract that file. I don't need to... Fine.
It's always one of those days, isn't it?
Sometimes. Okay. There. That'll work. Okay. Alright. Thank you, Cecil. Technically, gets a little better. Alright. Everyone rolled well enough that I can give this to everybody. You know that the room that Nusig and Dr. Lucifer is standing next to has something or someone in it.
Ew. Let's avoid that room. Lock it if possible.
Unfortunately, the only way to do that is to use the proper keycards or to have an override.
That's the thing.
Hmm.
Don't have any of those.
I mean, the security keycards could potentially lock it.
Oh, we
Potentially,
don't
yep.
know that. For now, our best opportunity is just to stay quiet and not fire guns.
Or
Okay.
do.
I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
Or do it quickly with our melee weapons.
Daxon,
Yes, sir.
so you have the keycards. Which keycard are you gonna use first?
The one with letters and numbers on it that we got off of the officer in the booth.
Okay. It buzzes at you. It's a quiet buzz, but a definitively negative buzz.
All right. What were the other ones that we had?
Well, you had the normal quote-unquote keycard from him. You also had the keycard from the other two security personnel.
Okay, I guess I'll try them next.
When you go to his normal keycard, it dings.
Oh, sweet. Doors
and
open.
opens. Inside is a closet filled with supplies. It seems these have more or less remained untouched.
At least we have something.
At least we
It's
have
mostly
something.
cleaning supplies, seems to be a few basic wiring components. The sort of thing that you would expect out of a regular maintenance closet on any other major corporate living area.
Actually, cleaning supplies could come quite in handy for this.
And
Well,
don't
if
get
there's
to say something like that and not extrapolate a little bit more.
if there's anything extremely basic or acidic, we could use it to reduce the risk of transferred infection.
And I
Clearly,
will know how to do this medically.
It's not a medical thing. I'm literally talking about acid or base will kill cells. Throw it on them while in melee to prevent the risk of transmission. Or to lower the risk. It's not a surefire thing. It's not going to make medical sense. But cleaning. Clean everything.
I mean, that's a decent idea, but if we're engaged in combat, we have other priorities. Namely, putting them down first.
While I understand that, putting them down is pointless if any of us get infected.
Not inherently wrong, no.
Which is why I say if we go to a safe location, I can test out that syringe that I found.
There is no safe location on this ship. We are behind enemy lines, and even a single bite could pretty much be the end. Thus, why I'm pushing for cleaning supplies.
Daxon shrugs and says, "Alright, you're carrying it.
That's fine.
But if you think in your medical opinion that it's necessary..."
What medical opinion? Do I look like a doctor to you?
No.
I'm going to look over to him slowly.
Exactly. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a dude who wants to get off here alive and hears transmitted disease. I don't like diseases, so I'm reverting to what I was taught in grade school. Washing my hands thoroughly with soap.
That doesn't really save you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rage, but this thing, our current conjecture is that this thing is spread by bites, yeah?
Correct.
That probably wouldn't help us to, sanitize things.
And he's not a smart person. How many times do I have to repeat this?
I'm just trying to match, like... I'm just trying to make sure my conjecture is not off base.
Well, Music's got a point. If things are clean, you're less likely to get infected by accident.
So, like, wiping down the stuff that we pick up would probably be a really good idea.
That might help in the long run, but in the short term, being in a fight with the thing is the fastest way to become one of them. Because, let's face it, all they gotta really do is get their gunk in you, and oh, by the way, yeah, you're gonna... At least so far that you can figure, based on what you've seen, based on what the AIs have told you, that's more or less how this stuff works. The exact procedure on how that works is... Until you get to medical, you probably won't understand the exact process by that, and even then you might not get the information. It's kind of hard to tell. But from what you can tell, it's not pretty, and it probably will only help for cursory things, not if you were to actively be bitten.
So Daxon is gonna nod to...
Shooting is control secure.
Is gonna nod to him and just say, well... I don't think it's gonna work to use them in battle, but... Well, if we're taking things from this environment, we need to sanitize them before we use them.
So do what you need to do in there. I'll swap, and if we're lucky, there's some stuff with an alcohol content.
If that kills these things. Like, if it kills this bug, like, there are viruses and stuff like that that completely resist that sort of thing.
True, but if we find a cleaning supply with an alcohol content, we use an incendiary. Yeah, maybe.
Well,
There's very few viruses and bugs that survive being lit on fire.
Yeah, there is.
Exactly.
The right temperatures, it almost doesn't matter what it is, it's dead.
Yeah, but the fire isn't for killing the bugs. That's like...
Yeah.
Shit. The fire is for degrading the corpse so it burns and maybe doesn't even get into melee range.
That too.
While they're talking, can I go check the chemicals, see if there's any acidic properties to some of them?
If you so desire, yes, I will allow it.
So, body perceives science.
Yeah, I'll allow that, yes. I apologize in advance, it's probably getting noisy on my end.
That's okay. I apologize for the background noise on my end earlier.
Yeah.
I forgot to put push to talk on.
Plus 4.
Well, at least there was nobody inside there.
Oh, I don't know if I should re-roll.
Don't. It's not important. Save your rerolls. You know, for the life-affecting stuff. Alright, and let's get that conduit fixed.
Give me one moment.
Welcome back.
Actually, which of us would actually even probably have the capability to do that?
What is it? Protocol, if I remember right?
No, hell no. Or for repairing a communications line, that would not be protocol.
That'd be
I'll take
either
the
engineering or
obviously.
I'll
sabotage.
take the punch.
Yeah,
Was one of the
hopefully
two.
sabotage.
Okay. So, at a cursory glance, you are not able to discern whether or not any of these cleaning supplies would actually be viable as a way to sanitize anything. It's not that they wouldn't, it's that you'd have to actually take a second and look at them for longer than, oh hey, this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not too big a deal, but possibly annoying.
Especially since there are scary
Enemies.
monsters potentially nearby.
Like, it was about fighting enemies everywhere joke, but
A good thing to keep in mind, though, is that that little console on the north side of that little closet is on.
Oh. Daxon will take a look at that then.
It seems like this is the relay.
Oh.
well, this is convenient.
Daxon is going to try his best to remember what Wrench said about resetting this and or see if he can contact Pips and be like, help.
It actually doesn't seem all that complicated. As you take a minute to look at the console, it has a notification next to a relay section. Specifically, it has a log, essentially, that denotes that a local network is down. And
Okay.
it lists all of the different decks and all this other complicated nonsense, but basically it's saying down, 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 and then it has a little thing at the bottom that says, if this relay is reading everything as down, try a reset, essentially. Turn it off and turn it on again.
Well, Daxon will note this to the others. He will relay what the relay is telling him, and then he will attempt to reset it. We'll just try and follow the procedure as best as possible.
You turn off the relay and turn it back on.
Yay. Congratulations, I'm qualified to be a member of Geek Squad. Hey.
In the process of doing so, however, you hear several loud noises coming
Oh.
from the walls.
Son of
Oh.
a bitch. I knew it.
The kind of noises that you would associate with, well, fan blockage or other mechanical issues. Seems something's actually broken. That said, the relay does indeed reset, and it starts reading the network on the living quarters deck and engineering as being active.
Ooh.
I would like to insert the disc into the relay.
What?
What disk? Why?
Why?
Never mind.
I need to understand what you were thinking so I can well,
Like
what was
it-
the purpose?
Like, if I remember right, it's like we need to turn on the relay so that was it the copier French or the original French would map out the quarters.
Original?
He doesn't
but
need to be connected that way. The engineering relay is active, but the living quarters and deck commons was not active, so he couldn't talk to it, even though it was there.
Okay.
Also, we left the 2 copy discs with the ship, since there was no point in carrying them around.
The ones with that we already have AI on, yeah. Not the ones that we need to put AI on.
Okay.
Yeah, so I get why you thought that, but nah, he doesn't need you to do that. He just needed the damn thing to be on, which it wasn't.
Basically, he just asked us to open a window.
Because he couldn't do it.
Alright, mission successful. Now hopefully one of our toggles will light up with further instructions.
Well, they don't immediately light up. It takes you a minute to realize, oh, I should probably sync my toggle with the local network.
I'll keep my personal toggle off the network, but I'll use the other one. Dummy toggle!
Oh yeah, the TTI one that you alluded.
Yep.
Well,
It's paranoid, but I don't really see a downside to that. So
Assuming you can use it, you wouldn't be able to use just any cell phone you find. It's locked with passwords and who knows what else.
No, we did that earlier. I unlocked it.
yeah, we that one we jailbroke. And this was my coworker who left her phone lying around with no password on it. So I was just like, "Hey, whose is this?" Unlock, check contacts. Oh, yep, it's hers.
that's not very... You know what, we're not going to go into that. I'm just going to ignore
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yep.
We're all agreed?
Mm.
Yep, moving on.
Okay. So, you're able to sync it up. It's a little bit slow to get on there. But you see a notification from Pips. It's
Ooh, I read it.
essentially a thumbs up emoji with a "we're live." It's nice to hear Wrench. Well, what's left of him.
Alright, I'll respond back asking where next.
Well, that's the issue. Now that the network's up, some of the life support things have been fixed by a patch that Wrench put in. There's bad news.
What's up?
And it is.
There's a lot of them on that deck where you're at.
Oh, we're
Yep.
moving out.
Like, a lot. And unfortunately, I think the way that I brought you might have made some of them more alert of your surroundings.
Great.
I'm
Well,
just
we
gonna
all
put
need
the
this
toggle
one way or
away
another.
and head and say, let's get to the elevator and back to the main foyer.
That's if they would.
Is there anything else on this level that we need?
Unless you want to go looking for stuff,
Like
Yeah.
there could be more ID cards or any
clues, loot, things of that nature. There's not really a whole lot to keep you here. It's pretty barren, and other than checking the bathrooms, there's just a bunch of living quarters. The doors are mostly unlocked.
I wouldn't advise the bathrooms. We're only going to find corpses in there.
Don't you know, in video games you always find med kits in the bathroom for some reason.
Yeah, but haven't you ever watched a zombie movie? You always die if you go into a bathroom.
Yeah. Okay. Quick in-character knowledge question. As an experienced spacer, would crew quarters be separate from a place like this? Like,
Yes.
okay.
Crew quarters. This is main living quarters. This is for the people who are here as, passengers.
Right. So, my hypothesis, at least, is we could probably find some clues here, and that might be worth it. I would be willing to take a look around, but the more we stay, the more we're going to risk getting caught by these things, and I want to minimize that. But the flip side is I would prefer to spend more time in like crew quarters because I feel like we would find more useful access IDs and all that nonsense in that sort of area. That's just my thought on the matter. Like, I'm very much willing to hear other opinions on that, though.
I think we'll ask Pix / Wrench / whoever has access to the toggle if they detect any other life signs on this deck in the immediate area.
There is
And if not, then we'll move on to crew quarters or medical.
Billy did say there's a lot of them here.
No, that's not what I asked about. I asked for life signs, which do not show up as those.
No.
Alright then. Well, we're bailing here.
However, something they will point out that's relevant to that question. There's an active droid on the level.
Really?
Mm-hmm. See, one of the things that they did as part of maintaining the ship is they had a lot of little droids. Their AI is very, very simple, but they could be ordered around by security forces and some of the other crew and personnel to do simple tasks.
Huh.
Personally, I don't think that's... Yeah.
Well, that's just it. They go inactive if they're not on an active task. So if they're not being told by anyone to do anything, they don't do anything.
So basically what you're saying is somebody is ordering this thing around.
Mm-hmm. So it's there for a reason. They just can't access it because it's not one of the living quarters or engineering drones. It's not one of those droids. It belongs to one of the other decks.
Can they identify which deck it is?
Yes,
Yeah.
they can.
Please don't say bridge.
I hate to say it, but yes, it's from the bridge.
Okay, fine. Where is it? We'll do this quick and we'll bounce, because time is very limited now.
Well, that's the problem. From what you can tell, it's in here.
Mm-hmm.
In this south cabin?
Mm-hmm. And that one's been locked tight. You can tell by the door. You could potentially open up with one of your security passes, but who knows what you'll actually find in there.
Well, poop.
We have no choice in this matter.
Of course
I
we
mean,
do.
we
Just
do,
forget about
but-
it. Who said we even need to go to the bridge?
I mean, other than our own curiosity and trying to find potentially more survivors, it's not hugely critical, but potentially it could lead us to more survivors, or it could give us...
Or clues.
If it's from the bridge... If it's from the bridge, theoretically these things have some way of getting around, correct?
Correct.
So if it's from the bridge, theoretically it should be able to access almost all systems and areas, correct?
See, the big thing about these droids, and I'm just going to give this to you because you guys are, one of you's a spacer, and
That'd be me, yep.
you know, you guys have been on this ship long enough that you could, have potentially asked these sorts of questions before.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna give it because I don't want to waste time. They're meant to be able to access every portion of the ship. When an engineer can't get to a place because it's too small and they don't have a micro handy, they send these guys in. Some of them, specifically engineering droids, had cameras built in so you could see what the droid could see and manually override them to do the work yourself. Not all unlike, the surgical bots you'd see in other places. This functionality isn't necessarily the case in every droid, but specifically the droids used by the bridge and the droids used from engineering had this capability for the most part. A few of them were more just to be extra hands.
So theoretically, if we were to get a hold of this thing, we could actually get more access off of it?
If it's not already being controlled by someone outside of that. If so, they could just shut the thing down and then you'd get nothing out of it until they turned it back on.
Right.
Still having something like a droid on our side from the bridge really outweighs the,
I think I've made myself clear. I have voiced my disapproval. If you're gonna do this, keep it quick and keep it quiet.
So, so stealth checks. Oh, I'm good at that.
like, I don't think we probably have much choice.
You didn't ask for a stealth check.
I didn't.
Newstig's basically just saying, don't shout, don't be loud, don't use guns.
Okay. Who here can get a door open?
I probably would quickly.
I mean,
Tell you what.
Try a key card.
It's locked into that room, right?
Yes.
Well, the door is locked. It's not necessarily stuck in there.
Distinction noted, and that was actually what I was going for, because what I was going to say is, theoretically, if we need to get to the bridge later, we can just come back for it. Which, the more I think about it, the more I'd say we try and avoid contact and just focus on current task at hand. Which, well, and I suppose that begs the question of what are we doing and where are we going next? Would be the follow-up to that.
My vote was for medical, since that's the next AI that was on the shopping list.
The remaining AI, aside from Pips, would be Max, Bob, what's left of him.
Poor Bob.
But the only ones that are really important that you'd really, really, really need is, well, Max, but you can ignore it because he's so broken if you really chose to. Wrench wouldn't appreciate it, but he'd probably understand now that he sees what's happened to him. But, again, that's something for you guys to debate. He's not exactly hard to get hold of. The medical, Maria, and then security, Sentinel. If you really want to, grease Wrench's wheels, you'll pick up the sub-AIs as well, but you don't have to.
I would make Maria the target, since she probably knows how the disease works.
Which would give us some valuable information. But do we know where Max was located?
Yeah, he's the main hall.
Oh, so theoretically we'd actually have access to the area that Max is in.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, we might be able to fix him while we're there. Like, that would be a huge long shot, but...
It's a
I
long
would call
shot.
that an impossible long shot, since A, I don't think any of us are ASR, and B, I doubt any of us have enough points in engineering.
No, but if we give Wrench access, do you think he'd be able to unfiggle everything?
Well, here's the thing. You're on a time crunch. A big one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wrench could potentially fix the poor guy, but that doesn't mean that he can actually do it in a timely manner that will help you.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so for now, I'd say we've done what we can here. We've given Wrench access to this level. Let's focus on. Honestly, yeah, no, medical sounds fine to me.
So we can come back and get the droid.
Well, I mean, it got in there. There's a chance it might be able to get its own way out. For now, yeah. Stick to the mission.
Yeah, because Bob was the one that was on the bridge, right?
No,
No.
Bob was the cook.
Oh, Bob
No,
was
Bob's the cook.
duh.
He's one of the sub AIs.
Yeah, Bob's one of the sub AIs.
Mm-hmm. He's not actually important. And you've never encountered him, probably because, he's broken. Like most of the stuff on the ship. Kinda dead.
Yep, poor guy.
That said, you could potentially recover one of his backups. Now,
Which will
I
probably
mean,
be in
hey,
the main hall.
if he's just in the main hall level, like getting everybody on the main hall, I think would be good.
Main hall is on the way out, so let's just keep going.
I would. I would be inclined to say keep going for now.
okay. That said, if you guys are gonna try to leave this floor,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to need to do stealth checks.
Okay.
Which
Okay,
I
okay.
knew. So,
I-
body stealth.
Okay, so I have 2 simplifications in stealth and a fault. And no ranks. So that's...
So wait until he tells you the difficulty, and then lower that by 2, and then you have to beat, I think, a 14.
No, Rage can choose.
Mm-hmm. I can pick. I'm allowed.
Oh dear.
That said, I will pick a 2. Now you go ahead and make the rolls. I want to see what happens.
Okay, so I have a 2 in body, no ranks. I simplify it twice because of reclamation and family ability. So that becomes a difficulty 0. Meaning, what, I roll 2d10?
I think so.
I'm a bit I'm a bit ambiguous on how how that scales, but I'll just roll 2d10, I guess.
There is a list in the start of the rules document. Just take a look.
Okay, let's see. Checks. Your stat score exceeds by 2, roll d10 plus d10. And I don't have a proficiency score, so yeah, d10, d10. Damn it.
Yeah, we're not stealthy.
I'm gonna choose to re-roll that 4, just on principle.
That's taking a big risk.
Wait, I have a fault. Can I re-roll?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because it's not a 1, duh. Really? Okay. I in fact re-rolled that 4.
I have
Mission accomplished.
It's probably not gonna change anything, but since I was gonna say it, I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm gonna reroll both of mine.
okay.
Never mind.
Hmm.
Right.
That puts me at 8.
Geralt is not lucky.
So it appears.
That is a very, very angry nope from the universe.
I'm down to focus.
Yep. Which means weapons out, everyone.
How about you
You
let
have
the
your-
DM tell us what's happening?
Well, the nice thing is that despite your noise, you're able to see and hear them as they attempt to open the doors. You need to remember, they no longer register as vector life.
Oh,
So the
right.
doors don't open automatically for them anymore. The unfortunate thing is, as you've made enough noise to attract their attention, more and more doors start pounding.
Alright, let's just go.
You can leave, or you can rig it so no one can get back in here.
Can we do both?
Well, here's the thing. You can only lock it down from this side and then leave. Once you leave, you'd have to come back and lock it down.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back into the main hall, you could have the systems lock it down, but the elevator will quote-unquote be on this end again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have to come back here. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah,
you could
so
you could potentially lock this down, but if you have to come back, you'd have to unlock it, and that might take a while.
yeah. So let's just go.
So, congrats! You successfully make it from a, let's face it, hellish, terribly smelling living quarters area.
Yay!
Yay! No one died!
Yes.
Double yay!
Stop with your yets.
He's a yeen. He yips.
I
I said
think
yet.
this is the wrong page.
Hmm?
Won't we go into medical?
No, this is the correct place, because you can't go directly from the living quarters to medical.
Medical.
Remember, every
Yep.
deck is isolated.
Yep.
For safety.
Let's face it, if they're all connected, the entire ship could probably be destroyed.
Potentially. Well, it's nice to be back in the main hall with the insipid music.
Jackson is gonna have, like, PTSD when it comes to cheery elevator music.
But at least both Pips and Max have shown up this time. Both of them seem very relieved to see you. Max, despite, still having his glitchiness, seems to be a little bit more coherent. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I have not been operating to full optimum capacity.
Understandable in the circumstances, Max. Is there anything we can do?
But Pips has informed me of the unfortunate circumstances. My logs are now updating. It may be some time before I am able to fully grasp the severity of the situation, but I can give you full access to everything on this deck.
Please give us that. Also, do you have a copy of your of a desk?
Already prepared.
Good.
Please accept my humble apologies for any problems I may cause in the future, as I will likely forget this interaction in about 5 minutes, 2 seconds. He breaks off at a second, but you get the feeling he was listening the exact moment he would forget this.
Oh, that's grim. Well, with that in mind, will you be able to remember to alert us when the backup is done so we can secure that? Or, Pips, could you make sure he remembers?
He won't need to remember. I've got that covered.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. He might not all be all there anymore, but I can at least look out for him.
Please do.
Can and will. Poor guy. I thought I had it bad.
Are there any other sub-AI on this level, or any other AI in general, that are connected to areas we've already secured or have access to? What I'm saying is there anyone that we can secure quickly?
Bob. We've already got him set up, though, so you won't have to worry about that.
That's good.
Yeah, once you get to Max, you'll be able to get to Bob. The problem is that, well, what's left of Bob isn't pretty.
Right.
Was as much as any of this as the ship.
Well, I mean, I'm alive. In as much as an AI can be. You know, the one thing I haven't liked about this is the more processing capacity has made me much more aware of my limitations as a computer.
Jackson shrugs and gives a sympathetic smile and says, "Trust me, this has brought to light my limitations as a vector as well, so I think the feeling is understandable."
Yeah, nothing quite realizing one's own mortality. And that you can think of it in the context of mortality.
He again kind of offers a little bit of a sympathetic smile and just says, "Just try not to dwell on it and focus on, the mission. That's what I always do."
Right. Well, good news, bad news. Max should be prepared in, only a few minutes. Bad news? We can't get in contact with Maria. At all.
She's medical tech, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably started.
Restoring the relay should have brought back that contact. It hasn't.
From what I guess, the most damage would be the medical wing.
No. Based on the readings we're able to get, the heaviest damage was actually done to us. Living quarters.
Makes sense. That's the highest concentration of vectors.
Mm-hmm.
So then the real question is, where's the next conduit that needs to be enabled.
Well, that's just it. From what we can tell, it seems like medicals was just plain ripped out. There's nothing left.
I guess we have to check it for ourselves then.
Well, either that or it's been intentionally disconnected. Which, I mean, that's possible too. Terrifying to contemplate, but possible.
I was going to say, could Maria have done that as a security measure?
That's not something I want to contemplate, but yeah, it could have been because of that. If she intentionally disconnected herself, you might be overrun if you get up there, or something worse. See, the thing is, while we have Max back temporarily... Sorry, about that. It's okay, bud. The thing is, his memory banks were the thing most damaged from what we can tell. He can't remember anything beyond potentially a couple years ago at most. And his access to his own memory logs has been basically severed. He's flying blind.
Dr. Lucifer is gonna think on this.
As far as Bob is concerned, we can't restore functionality. He'd have to, be manually brought back to life, as it were. And we don't have the time to do that. We really, really, really don't.
No, we don't. So, can you point us in how to get to Maria?
Yes, I can. I can get you, thanks to Max overriding for us all, I can get us access to Medical Bay. But I can't read anything that's there. So I can't tell you what to look out for. I can't even contact you when you're up there. You'd be flying solo, as it
Well,
were.
If you have a map of any sort that we can go off of.
I'm afraid that's been locked out of our systems.
Max doesn't even have a full map of the ship?
That's just it. That's part of the memory stores that has been, well, shattered.
Okay. Let's say we get up there. What are the chances Maria would actually reach out and greet us?
Based on my previous understanding of her personality, pretty high. Of all of us, she was the smartest. The single most powerful aside from Sentinel. See, Maria was one of a kind. There was no AI quite like or as powerful as her. But she was also limited in that she didn't have access to a lot of parts of the rest of the ship. Part of the safety mechanisms was to, limit all of our ability to not necessarily interact with one another, but to take each other's roles.
Right.
Makes sense. You want to avoid conflict and breakdowns.
Well, Maria and Sentinel are the last two main targets. And Sentinel is beyond Maria, so...
Maria is first then.
Unfortunately, yep.
Seems like.
So if we do get to the medical wing, I can use my protagonist's background just to get an idea of what she used to make. I reached out to the perk and pulled out this blue syringe. This.
I don't think we'll have that much time.
I mean, one of the active concerns is being overrun just for entering the area. Time is going to be even more of a concern there than the crew quarters, if we're not careful.
Let's just
Which,
get there, see
considering
what
we-
it looks like. We can decide how to continue from there on.
Yep.
Valid idea.
I like this bird. She's smart.
Right then, let's go. Clock's
Alright.
ticking and I'm paid by the hour. Or I'm not paid by the hour.
We aren't
gonna
being
say,
paid
we're-
at all.
Yeah, we're not getting paid at all for this. Otherwise, I'd be demanding hazard pay.
Yes, you're
Alright,
getting paid. You're
do we
getting
have
paid by
to
getting
use
live.
the... Sorry, go ahead.
I said, yes, you're getting paid. You're getting paid with your life. Now, let's move.
Do we have to use the little access tunnels, or are we taking another route?
This time you'll actually be able to use the proper routes. You can use the elevator.
Yay!
So, congrats. You actually can use the intended things. The unfortunate side is, yeah, it's the other elevator. So not the one that's connected to living quarters. Huzzah.
Alright, well, let's get this over with.
Okay.
As we're getting to the elevator, I'm going to load up my pistol with the lethal ammo.
Oh, hang on. I did a dump. This is why you try not to work on multiple things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Y'all can't see anything, can you?
Nope.
Good. How about now?
I can see my token.
Okay. So I gotta resize everything. Maps of multiple different sizes.
Ah, there on the right side. Yes. See my token.
Yep, I can see me.
Okay. Let me fiddle with the thing real quick. Alright.
Don't like it.
Oh, hey, light.
There we go. That should start solving it once I input all this.
Yeah, I have about 3 squares of light out from me in the different directions I can face.
Yeah, I'm fixing that for everybody.
Looks like I gotta turn on my bioluminescence again.
Oh, I forgot to fix a thing on a couple of our other players. Let me get you sorted. You're supposed to be able... on this one is a little different from the engineering. You're supposed to be able to see each other's lights as well.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, we do. But on... let me try something.
so we can see each other's lit areas, but not each other. Okay.
Obviously, only when you have actually line of sight to to an ally.
Right.
Okay. You guys can still move your tokens, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right then. Well, this is going to be interesting, as I wasn't able to input all the little bits and bobs that I wanted to, and have you guys have it all prepared for you. So I apologize for that. That's
okay.
what I was
That's fine.
working on.
Just to ask, would my bioluminescence give any extended range on the light?
No.
Shit.
Sorry.
Why you do this?
Because
However,
bioluminescence is nothing compared to a flashlight.
Not that. Not that at all. I switch over from playing a close range character, and now we're in all close range combat.
Well, here's the thing. You're not actually necessarily in all close range, but you'll figure that out soon enough for yourselves.
I'm pretty sure my sight range is probably going to end at maybe... I don't even know.
Yeah, I have like 2 squares of sight range.
Yeah, but I'm testing, like, if you went ahead, I'm wondering how many hexes out I could see you.
Though the hexes
Actually, given the dark, that would probably be one thing we try first from the elevators to see what our maximum range line of sight would be of each other. Because that would determine how closely we have to travel.
Or we could all just stick together and not get picked off.
Okay,
Like,
fine. But I'm just mentioning my gun doesn't work at too close of a range.
We picked up handguns though. Like you have backup options.
we have handguns.
Fine, but it's not going to hurt them as badly.
It's also not going to make terribly deafening noises that alert the entire map worth of enemies.
Actually, it will, because it doesn't have the suppressor on it.
Your gun still works at close range.
Yeah.
I thought point-blank range was, like, a problem.
Yeah, but that's one hex.
Yeah, that's one hex.
What was that?
Well, there's close... I thought there was, like, 1 hex away is one thing, and then 2 hexes away is still considered point-blank.
No.
That changed.
Did that change?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Okay. So, you should be able to freely move around now.
Mhm.
I'm
Yep.
gonna be doing all kinds of shenanigans as we move along, so,
Improvising on the map.
well, I'm literally working on the lighting system as we're doing this, so,
Yeah.
screw it, we're doing it live!
Fuck it. Do it live.
Exactly. That said, you should be able to move around. As you enter in, the elevator brings you to the disquieting stillness of Medical Bay. Unlike the other places you've been to so far, this one seems active, but all the lights have been turned off. Even the emergency lighting.
I'm going to turn on my flashlight as we enter.
You can hear the ventilation pumping and churning in the background. You can hear distantly the beeps and clicks of computers and other electronics.
I can basically hear how that bit's messing with me a little bit.
But you can't necessarily see anything yet. The door seems to be unlocked.
I look towards Daxon. You first.
Righto. I will approach the door and attempt to open it.
I mean, it's unlocked.
But just because it's unlocked doesn't mean it's gonna open without protest.
A valid point.
Might be blocked, jammed, or out of power. So, yeah, I'll open the door.
The door opens fairly easily. It doesn't seem to be powered, though. You had to manually grab its sides and push it open. But it doesn't resist the effort.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Side question, what's the red thing here?
Red thing?
But
The one here?
The thing that looks like a...
The
Oh, it's a
seat or some-
gurney.
Ah, okay.
little Gertie?
The kind that you would associate with a hospital.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I would know since my progenitor is
Yes. Which, admittedly, isn't all that surprising, considering this is the medical wing, where anyone who was injured would have inevitably come.
Okay. Please carry on.
This seems to have, at least at one point, been the reception area. Since this probably had to double up as the ship's hospital wing, you're not surprised that there's a rather expansive waiting area with plush lining on the chairs and what looks to be basic video screens and whatnot. It all makes a lot of sense. Too bad, with no one here and none of that quaint, if annoying music from the main hall going on, it's far more disconcerting.
Hmm. Can I go check the computers? See if there's any logs remaining on them?
You may.
Could you also maybe let one of the armed people go first?
Okay. The computer is off. Whatever was supposed to be on here, well, you can't access it. It seems to have been, well, for lack of a better word, it's been ripped out. It's not just, unplugged, but clean ripped out.
Just physically destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That takes some doing.
And some real desire to get rid of it.
By the way, Rage,
Yes, sir.
this wall here does not block sight.
Which one?
The one I'm looking at that one.
Oh, it's not meant to. It's
Oh.
glass.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's glass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. You're meant to see through that one.
Okay.
So,
I'm guessing what I'm seeing down here is a closed door, correct?
no, that one is actually open, wide open.
Going with
Alright.
Dexon, can you check the door down south? Cecily and I are gonna check the glass room door.
Right. I can't actually see into that room down there.
Which room?
The room that I'm looking into, the one south. It's the door is open, but I can only see like one hex into the room.
Yeah, that's because of how lighting is working right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's difficult to see. All the lighting, even the emergency lighting, is well gone.
The stairs
In
back
many
here.
cases where the bulbs and whatnot should be, they're shattered. Or in some cases, it seems they were intentionally removed. Whoever or whatever was responsible for that really doesn't want people seeing things.
What about this door here? Does it open? I mean, I assume this is a door.
I believe so. If you're talking about what I think you're talking about, yes. That door, is actually missing. There is no
Oh.
door. A doorway,
Oh.
but no door.
Okay.
You see the door lying against the wall in the far side of the room.
Oh, interesting.
So I wanted to be like a macro of really destroying to do so.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm sorry, what?
It looked like the person standing there, and I was a
Oh.
little surprised.
What you instead see is one of the medical droids. It's in the darkness. No one can blame anybody for being startled by that. But it's very clearly been inactive for who knows how long. Rust is very obviously on its joints. Even if you were to turn it on, you get the distinct feeling it wouldn't even be able to move without breaking itself into who knows how many pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to check the desk.
Okay, Tygon?
Mhm.
You were gonna say something?
No, not really.
Okay. You find in the desk a few medical IDs. Well, at the very least, you'll have a record of who the staff was on hand at the time.
I'm going to pocket.
Several surgeons. You recognize a few Marsco-styled names, but also some that pique your interest. There's a few TTI names, the sort you would have associated with people from Europa.
Really?
It seems they had surgeons from all over the place working on this.
And what is the pistol right there?
It's just that. One of security personnel's pistols. You recognize this one now as having the stamp of the actual security forces on board. It's not all that different from the IRPF symbolism, but given the ASR twist.
Cecily, would you like to put this gun in as evidence?
Don't really see a reason why. I don't want to weigh myself down with useless junk. What about this drawing board-ish thing?
That seems to have been a presentation of some kind. It looks like somebody was trying to promote a new form of AI. It's hard to make out. It's a lot of complicated mathematics and technical jargon,
Mm-hmm.
and half of it seems to have been erased. That said, what you can make out seems pretty advanced. It also seems like it directly affected the AI on board. So whatever it was It was something about Maria and how she functions, and comparing it to how the other AI function.
Hmm.
I will take a picture of it with my toggle case. Doesn't mean much to me, but maybe somebody else.
While Cecily's doing that, I'm going to check on this door. But first, I'm going to use a body perceive to hear. If there's
You gonna
any.
listen in?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and make those rolls, I suppose.
I have reciprocation, so DC would be smaller.
It is a difficulty 1.
Where were you for the stealth check?
Busy, probably. You hear nothing other than the beeps, clicks, and whirs of a few of the machines running. And the air being pumped through the ventilation system.
There's no one in that. There's no one in that room.
Okay, let me go first. Just in case.
This seems to have been, well, the power generator. At least part of it, anyway. There's a few computers that are still on here and there, but they all seem tied to the systems here.
No, really yet.
There is a workbench there, though.
I'm going to check on the workbench.
There's some tools. Even a welding torch. It looks like this must have been where they stored some of the extra sets of repair modules just in case they needed it for something.
I'll take some tools. I'll take the tools.
Okay, you have one set of tools on you now. Just like described in the PDF. Please make sure to note that weight on your person.
Yeah.
More tools, that will be pretty handy. With the, I'm assuming they're, well, actually I'm not going to assume anything about where they're at right now, but is there anything particular about the environment that, Nusig and I are kind of standing watching?
Well,
Is it like a hallway, or...?
yes. It is a hallway. It's also dirty. Probably the dirtiest you've ever seen a medical wings hallway.
No wonder they were all infected.
They couldn't hear that. It's between me and you, viewers.
Which, in any other context, you'd probably tisk at, but in this one, that's less than comforting.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
And could I check the computers for anything recently?
These ones all seem to be built for the intention of working with the machinery nearby. Anything you could glean from them would be something that an engineer would care about, not a doctor.
There's probably nothing here.
I think the big question right now is why hasn't Maria said hi yet?
I'm going to get out.
She might have shut down systems to save power or do something. She might not even be aware of us.
Possible. Let's see if we can find her, though.
So, if I meet up with the others, and I would say, apparently that's there was a presentation in one of the rooms talking about the advanced AI that Maria is compared to the others.
Okay. That doesn't seem entirely prevalent to what we're dealing with, but let's
It's
keep
good
moving.
to know that she's different than the others. Sets a different precedent.
Though I did found some surgeons and medical ID from different megacorps.
Interesting. Collaborative project?
Very much so.
Well, let's keep moving. Worst comes to worst, that collaborative project is the stuff that's running around.
I took a picture of the whatever that AI thing did. We'd probably have to show it to Wesley to make sense of it. It appears they have done something to the AIs, or were at least planning to do.
As you continue down the hall, you notice that there seem to be, well, footprints here and there. In some cases, bloody ones.
Oh boy.
I don't think we want to follow the bloody ones.
It's...
Hey, stop clipping outside the map. We're not on a speedrun here.
Oh, sorry. Is the white void?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, think of the white
Oh.
void if you see it anywhere, or black void if you see that anywhere, as you cannot enter here.
I just figured there was a main thoroughfare for the for like gurneys and stuff, and the white was just like extra space on the side of the.
No.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I understand. I get what you mean, but no, that's not what that's for.
Haven't you ever seen a futuristic hospital? It's always these pure white walls.
Okay.
That way the blood shows up really well.
Real comforting.
I'm gonna do another body perceive check to listen if there's any of the other.
Oh yeah, I could do a sonar
Actors.
check. If we didn't worry about loud noises. Damn it.
Can I do another body perceive check? Just hearing.
I will allow it, though I am questioning why you're doing it in very similar areas.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just... You haven't found anything new. There's just more hall. I mean, yeah, it's disconcerting because, it's greasy, blood-stained, and nobody likes thinking about your hospital being that way.
Instead, can I do a mind?
Can't be as bad at the hospital in Silent Hill 2.
You say that.
And yet,
Arcane, maybe you should hold off on the rolls a little bit so that way you don't burn your good ones on stuff you don't need to.
Yeah.
Roll nothing but ones for the next 6 rolls.
Oh, don't you jinx.
You have been
I mean,
changed.
Could I
That
do
could
a
happen.
mind perceive medicine to see how old the bloodstain footsteps are?
Not a
That's
bad
not a
idea.
yeah.
I'll
That's not a
take
bad
it.
idea at all. Actually, that's using your noodle.
Use the noodle.
sure, just as
Because
long
if
as
they're
you're keeping
if they're super recent, then
You'll
oh.
be able to tell that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and I'm gonna call it a difficulty 1.
No, I can't. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna reroll that too. So another.
How many rerolls have you used so far today?
At
I
least
think
3.
that's 3. I don't
Yes.
remember.
3, if I remember right?
Just how many focus do you have?
I have 4 focus. Why?
Don't break it, goober.
I have 7.
So focus is a 1-to-1 for rerolls?
Yeah.
Outside combat?
Yeah, outside
Okay.
combat. Inside combat, there too.
No.
Got it.
No, sorry to be so blunt there, but for one inside focus, you use your determination, not focus, inside combat,
Oh, right.
Oh, determination.
and it's we usually have to use 2 because most of the time you reroll is when you roll a 1, and then you have to first use 1 to up it to 2 because you can't reroll once. And then re-roll the 2.
But focus is just 1-for-1, right?
Yeah, again, unless you roll a 1. Same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Alright,
So,
so just keep moving.
just 10. So did I figure out how?
Oh, more blood.
Oh, did I figure out how old these bloody footsteps are?
Well, because it's pretty easy to tell for the most part, you can tell that most of them are fairly old. Yes, there's a large and distinct bloodstain on the ground. Also, the hallway goes in 2 different directions.
Now I think it would be a decent point for a listen check to see if there's anything distinct that we can detect down either hallway.
I will allow it.
Difficulty 2?
Yep.
I'll say the others. The blood's been rather old.
Okay,
for
then.
years.
Herder! Jackson is busy being distracted by the gross.
No kidding. And with that, I think I need to grab some water. Be right back. I'm losing my voice.
No, simplify, so I'll just roll 2d8.
Okay, Cecily and Nusig, were you guys going to be doing the listen rolls?
Oh, sure. Difficulty 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. uh, I have a simplify for body perception checks. So 1d10 plus 1d8.
Right on the money?
Alright. Well, you were able to make something out, Cecily.
Do I as well?
No.
Need to roll a 12 to pass the check.
I have a simplify on body hearing. Body perceivable hearing.
Yeah, that doesn't change the number you need to roll.
Okay.
Up this direction, to the north, hear the sounds of shuffling feet. It's distant, but it's distinct, because there's more than one.
Quiet, guys. I hear somebody moving. It's somewhere down that hallway to the right.
Somebody or something?
It sounds like somebody walking.
This hallway or...
Yes.
North.
Okay, north.
Above. I'm just using north on the map as always being... The top of the map is always north, unless I say otherwise.
Okay, yeah.
I
didn't see
said
the ping.
I said to the right relative to my toggle. To my token, not toggle. Token, sorry.
Just out of character to ask, does Cecily consider shuffling to be walking?
Hey, shuffling is a kind of walking. It's walking
It's the
slowly
kind
and
of
making...
walking we don't want to encounter.
Oh, wah!
Don't whine about it. If we have to fight, we have to fight.
Now, that said, you guys have a decision to make. Do you continue on to the quote-unquote back of the ship, straight on the same direction you've been going, or do you turn to the right, towards the shuffled footsteps?
Well, Cecily's the only one who heard it as a shuffle. She just mentioned there was somebody walking around up there. So Nusig, thinking she means she heard footsteps, is gonna vote for north.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't shuffling not footsteps?
There's a big difference between taking steps and sliding your feet.
Think of it
Sorry
this
about
way. The difference between a shuffle and a walk is whether or not you're 90.
I mean, they call it the zombie shuffle for a reason.
I've never heard that word.
It's okay. It was originally used in a different kind of context, but when it's used to describe walking, describes the motion that you do when you're too tired or too old or in too much pain to properly lift your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you drag them along the ground as you go forward. So it creates a distinct kind of scraping. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still discernible as footsteps, it's just, in this case, those might not be the comfortable kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I say, and yes, this is Cecily saying in character. Let's not go that way. Let's go straight ahead. avoid the things, whatever they are.
So, to the left on the map rather than up.
Yes.
Hmm.
Westbound.
Sounds good to me.
I'm going to. Well, it could be Maria.
Maria's an
the
AI.
shuffling?
I could be wrong.
The
I'm gonna go on the limb and say you are wrong in this case. AIs do not make any sorts of footsteps.
Yeah, they just appear and float and talk at you and tell you
Yeah.
how you're doing things wrong.
I mean, you're not wrong in that regard.
Nusig is going to keep eyes on the north corridor while we're walking by. And keep one hand on either Cecily or Dr. Reese, so that way he can keep looking back while traveling with the group.
Door on the left.
It could be another survivor.
Actually, kind of looks like some sort of utility thing.
Going around in the
Can't
dark?
tell.
Seems to
As
be
you
up.
enter this room, you find some things that are distinctly disconcerting.
Really?
Everything has been burnt. Everything. The floors, the ceiling, the walls, the various parts of the machines around, everything's been burnt. And not in the, oh, it exploded and had electrical failure. In the, no, this was intentionally lit on fire. It's
Wow.
very distinct. You can tell the difference because, well, the scorch marks come from the center of the room.
What was in the center?
Something to start the fire with. Maybe.
You can't tell anymore. It's all just a blackened pit. You can make out, in the darkness, a door towards the bottom of the room.
Can I investigate for anything that survived the room, per se?
Oh, there's plenty that's more or less intact, but everything bears scorch marks. Everything.
With my gloved hands, I'm going to open this, I think?
That is a medical case. You open it to find everything destroyed. Whatever was left in there is nothing but ash. The box itself survived the fire, but what was inside, that was cooked. Dexon,
Yes, sir.
body perceive.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm not good at this.
it's okay because it's not being disguised. You can hear wheels rolling.
Oh,
It's the kind of wheels you would hear on perhaps a gurney, or one of those cute little Roombas.
I seriously hope it's a cute little Roomba. It's probably not a cute little Roomba.
It never is.
The sound is coming from the room beyond the door.
Dexon will silently look to the others with a questioning gaze, kind of, jerk his head towards the door.
Mm,
Cecily is is basically trying to motion to take a peek.
I mean, sure. I'll peek through the door if I can.
I will allow it. So, you can't see very far. It's dim. But you can make something out.
Yeah?
In the distance, you see something that looks kind of like a robot. You can't see it very clearly because the lighting is terrible. But it doesn't seem to need the lighting. It moves about on a wheeled tower. It looks kind of like one of those old-timey robots. You know, the kind that have little claw hands that aren't really good at grabbing, doing much other than grabbing and tapping single keys at a time.
Right.
And little wheels that allow it to move up and down ramps, but they were usually cycled out in places with stairs. It's a little old, but it seems to be fine. It's working on something on a table nearby, but you can't quite make it out.
Jackson will report to the others. Robot, simple design, some sort of armature working on a table.
Well, go for it.
Cecily? Opinion?
Be careful.
I'll take point.
I'll follow Jackson in as well.
And I'll step through the door.
Nusik, you're coming?
You don't want somebody watching behind us?
You can... I really prefer to keep the group together.
Alright, so I step into the room. Is the machine like this thing down here?
Further down. A little bit more. One more. You can see it clearly now.
Ooh.
What you thought was a robot is a brain in a jar, guiding an old-time robotic body. These are the sort of things that Vectors threw away the designs of some time ago when they realized that putting a vector brain in a robotic body does not preserve the sanity of the person. In fact, it can often do the reverse and cause insanity to creep in all the faster as the biological brain rejects the mechanical parts. That said, they over time were able to find ways to work around this, but that design of simply a brain with a cortex suspended in a jar never really left the mind vector kind as being part of a time of horror and terrible, terrible experimentations. It takes a moment. But the being realizes your presence and turns to face you, in as much as such a thing can.
Jackson's just sort of staring at it like, hello?
As Dr. Lucifer sees this, he is unconsciously slowly moving towards his pistol.
The being responds to your hello in a painfully robotic monotone. Whatever they used for the voice module here, they did not base it on a vector, or even cogs. The pacing could have been natural, but the entire absence of tone and inflection is more than disconcerting. It sounds exactly how would associate the old-timey robots from the movies and the holovids. However, the words used, those are solely vector. Oh God. What are you doing here?
Attempting to figure out what's going on. Who are you?
You must leave. You must leave. You must leave.
We're sent by Pips and Max. We're trying to get to the bottom of everything and get everyone out.
Its tiny robotic limbs flail at you. Clearly it can't actually do any physical harm, but it makes what you assume is meant to be a shooing motion. Leave. Leave. Before she awakens, leave.
Who, Maria?
Don't say her name. You may draw her attention.
Can you leave with us to explain?
That will only anger her.
Jackson,
I missed that last part.
Jackson is going to look back to the others with uncertainty in his eyes, just like, what do we do now? Kind of expression.
Now that
Oh,
you've had a moment to, if you don't mind, now that you've had a moment to see it clearly, there's a name plate written on its chest. It says Wayland.
That was an important name, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the captain.
No,
No?
No.
was not the captain.
Wasn't he the chief surgeon?
Where did I hear that name before?
I admittedly don't remember it.
I'm going to say.
Dr. Wayland. He was one of the chief science and medical officers.
Dr. Wayland.
He designed Maria.
Now I remember.
You know me?
We only know you as the chief science and medical operator here on the Von Bruin. Or what's left of it.
Ha, ha, ha. Formerly.
What
Maria.
happened to you?
Maria happened. It
She did
is.
this?
It is my fault. I made her. She unmade me.
I pull out the syringe that I found. Was this your making, Dr. Wayland?
He scoots rapidly past Daxon. Tiny wheels whirring. You can only assume he's inspecting it. Can't quite tell where from, but it could be anywhere on that metal plating. You have the cure.
Cure.
I thought all was lost in the failed escape.
No,
We-
I'm going to explain. We found this in the engineering deck.
We may have a chance. If we can synthesize more, we may be able to wipe out the infection.
The fluid transmitted infection by bites.
Precisely. Introduction of infected material into biological beings of all forms creates mutation.
How did all this start?
We remember that there was someone sick.
Maria.
She did
Maria
this?
is more than an AI. She was once a vector. I took her mind. I reprogrammed, redesigned, perfected it. The ultimate thinking machine, able to learn and grow naturally, mimicking the process of vector and the power of cog and the processing capabilities of AI. Something more than what she was made from.
And I'm guessing all that went awry.
I did not know she broke her programming, reprogrammed herself.
And then in time reprogrammed the ship.
Took control from Sentinel. Destroyed him. Shut down everything.
Oh, stars above. We should separate the other AI. Keep them off this level.
That won't be a problem. Remember, they can't connect.
They can't connect here. That's the thing. If it does,
She is hibernating, waiting for an opportunity to hijack a ship and escape and continue her revenge.
her revenge for what?
What my company, what all of Vector kind allowed to happen.
You're not talking about
Being turned into a machine?
Precisely. She still feels.
Can't we just delete her?
She's wired herself into the ship itself. So long as the ship has power, she lives.
Fortunately, that's not gonna be the case for much longer.
She knows.
Should be
You-
waiting.
You bring disaster. If she can steal your ship, she can kill the solar system.
Is there any chance Sentinel is still recoverable?
None. He is part of her now.
Well, then I think it's time we bounce.
There are others. The Awakened and Captain Yu.
Captain Yu?
You mean other survivors?
Captain Theodore Yu still lives.
Oh, we have to get him out.
Shit.
Where do we find him?
He is on what remains of the bridge, locked behind her firewall and security.
She broke Sentinel.
If you can disable her, you can free you, destroy the ship, and end this once and for all.
This is gonna be such a... Okay. Where?
She is located in the aft of the medical facility. You will need my passcode. I cannot leave here. My wheels. I can only go through the halls. Most rooms I cannot exit or enter alone.
We heard shuffling from the north.
Her security infected. She funnels them using her subroutines.
Shit.
She has been sending them for years against Captain Yu. I am uncertain how he has survived, but he's still alive.
After 10 years.
More. I cannot promise he is fully sane, but he is sane enough to recognize me. At least, my name.
So we tell him that you sent us.
Do not. He will kill you for certain.
I'm going to say... I'm a doctor as well. Can I assist you with synthesizing the cure?
We will need to recover the necessary machinery from deeper within the medical wing. But once we do, it won't matter where we go, we will be able to do so. Be careful. Some sections have entities which we should not disturb.
The infected creatures.
And worse.
Jackson's sighs and glowers. Define worse.
Transcendent technologies was young when they agreed to do testing on bioprobes in this facility.
Oh, great. So it infects bioprobes too?
Anything biological is susceptible. Anything. I escaped because of what she did to me. I only survive because I am as you see me now.
I see that you made amends to the mistake that you made.
Amends? There can be no reparation, no repentance, no amends. I have made a monster. And if I allow it, she will kill everything. All
But-
she has left is hate.
We'll recover what we need to synthesize the cure. I believe it's time that we end this nightmare.
I have security access. I can bypass the security infected she has in the main excursion hall to the north. You will go through the sanitation room west of our current location, north and west.
North and west.
Once in the sanitation room, my codes will grant you access to all rooms, but be warned, I do not know what is in most of them anymore. She has changed everything except my access codes as a cruel joke. I am the lord of a nightmare realm. Yeen, we can't hear you.
Oh, that's right. I pushed dock on.
Wow.
Well, let's get this done quickly then before this thing wakes up.
I guess we got to tell the other AI about what really happened.
Yeah, let's not recover Maria. Just
And by
saying.
extension, Sentinel. I think the general
Unless
point is,
there's
other than
backups.
Max and Bob, we've recovered all the AI that we can.
Are there any? Is there any backups with Sentinel or that you can remember, Dr. Wayland?
I mean, there's a chance she corrupted that too. It's a big risk.
That's true.
Besides, we know what we need to do.
Northwest sanitation room.
So,
I think we have a
Yeah,
plan
we
of
have-
action.
I cannot leave. This form imprisons me in this room.
Hmm. So we're gonna have to come back here whenever we need to work on the cure and stuff.
If you were to find a new chassis, I could leave. Or replace the wheels with the all-terrain frame. I could leave on my own. But
All right.
without that, I am trapped.
We'll try.
We'll do if we can.
Please, hurry. These are my codes. Take them. Stop this nightmare.
I will grab the codes. And I will lightly grasp Dr. Wayland's arm and say, "We will."
Not that he could feel it.
But he can
It's
get
the gesture
sentimental
that
value.
counts.
It's the gesture that counts.
Now that you're in the room, you can also see what he was working on was a corpse of one of the infected. From best you can tell, he's been, and the pile of parts tell that whatever he's been working on, he's been using as many of them as he can, taking them apart piece by piece.
What exactly are you working on?
Attempting to recreate the cure.
And I'm assuming there's no way of dealing with these things without killing them?
They are no longer vector kind.
Yeah.
They think nothing, feel nothing, except hunger. And the most basic predatory instincts. Who they were, what they were, it is all gone.
Well, we figured it out as we met some of them in the engineering deck. As I'm going to fill in Dr. Wayland of everything that happened so far.
Right then. Wayland isn't able to add much more. He takes your information willingly, and he's glad to have, some chance to change things for the better, but he seems pretty defeatist about it all. He doesn't really think you're going to be able to do it, but he seems to feel obligated into letting you try. It's better than nothing. Inevitably, his own systems will shut down and he will die. He's as much a prisoner here as the rest of the AI have been.
Could I do a mind perceive medicine of how long he has left?
No. The system itself is much older than anything you've worked with, and it's also been heavily modified over time. You're gonna guess by his own hand. He's probably been making patchwork repairs and little things here and there over the past few decades just to make do so he can keep functioning. You're not sure, but you're going to have to guess that he's going to need years of therapy just to come out of this somehow sane.
Phone call, 1 sec. Sorry.
Ooh-lee-lee-lee-lee. I mean, potentially you could use him here and abandon him. This is all his fault. He took a vector and shoved their brain into a computer and ran it through a few cycles and thought, oh hey, I can claim that this is my new AI program and I've come up with something brilliant.
But no, it all went wrong.
Hundreds of people died. If this isn't first-degree murder, it's at least second-degree. He's responsible for all of the pain that's happened on here. Yeah, sure, he didn't do it by his own hand, but if he hadn't done what he'd done. So, you could argue it'd be just to leave him here and let him suffer the consequences of his own meddling. But at the same time... Go ahead.
Or probably at the same time that we could probably take him with us off the ship and basically give him repentance and therapy.
A lot of that last one.
Sorry about that.
So, you have some options available to you.
Yes.
You can take his codes, which will probably alert Maria and potentially make this a much more difficult thing. And you could use it to go through the sanitation room. Or you could head to the north and try to fight your way through the exercise and excursion room. It's the kind of room you would have used if you were making physical recoveries.
Oh, it's a PT space.
Yeah,
Mhm.
PT.
It's a place where you can basically run around, but not actually have to run.
Right.
So probably take the codes and get to the sanitation room. Also trying to keep a lookout for any equipment we use to synthesize the cure, and basically let him have a new chassis.
Or you could abandon all of this altogether and go try to jump from here straight to the bridge and recover Captain Yu.
I honestly think that shutting down Maria before we do anything else would probably be a good idea. I'm not sure how we... Yeah, because it's an actively hostile entity that is going to make her life more difficult the more we try and do anything else.
I thought we can't.
She's connected to the ship.
You could potentially disrupt her by shutting down her main thing here on the medical deck. A good way to think of it is her main central processor is here. Yeah, sure, she's got backups and she'll function without them, but it means her main seat of power would be upended. It would
Yeah.
take her time to recover it. However, if you were to do that, you'd immediately have her attention.
Yeah.
And it appears that at least for now she's sort of asleep.
Yeah.
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 However, the longer you stay here on medical deck, the more chance you run in of getting her unwanted attention.
Well, if we try and fight these things, that'll definitely get our attention. If we use the access codes, that gets our attention.
Potentially.
Potentially.
See, the thing with the access codes is, Wayland, he can't really leave this deck. And he's trapped in this room for the most part, but that doesn't mean that he can't open doors remotely.
Mm-hmm. Like probably find a new chassis or get the all-terrain wheels.
At that point, he would freely be able to move around the deck and potentially leave it.
And getting him out would be nice because his testimony would be important.
He's sane enough to, make sense of it all. You're not sure how much of everything he said, though, is true.
Yeah.
He's the brain in a box, and he's probably desperate to get out. He'd probably do anything if it meant that he could leave. I mean, at the end of the day, how different is his motivation than Skulk's?
True.
And similar issue of we don't know how true this guy, how honest this guy is, or how deep the rabbit hole goes as far as his involvement is.
So,
I'm just gonna say, and Cecily is not gonna say that in front of the brain in the jar. But her opinion is, let's just get out of here. Maybe find a way to blow this thing up. That seems to be the safest way. But by the way it looks, there's really nothing left for us here.
So reducing the doctor's access codes. The better choice is to probably synthesize the cure. It could
But
potentially...
if we find a way to destroy the ship, be it by... Okay, I mean, we probably can't shoot it. Even using, kind of meta knowledge, I don't think Wesley has anything on board of that ship that could really harm the Van Bruin.
No, it's the size of a freaking space
No,
ship.
it's a sign.
Just-
No, it's a fucking dreadnought.
But if we can find a way, then hey, don't need the cure, because we'll have destroyed the infestation.
Wrench might be able to do something about it.
Possible, yeah.
Mitch might be able to do something about it, but let's see.
You don't need to
Like, I
repeat
would-
everything everybody says.
Read it. Like my thought process is this. We synthesize the cure, we basically take out a lot of the infected. So it makes things a little more smoother. We give Dr. Wayland a new chassis. Save Captain Yu. Make sure the ship is ready to explode and get the fuck out of here.
It's not a terrible set of end goals, but the real issue is just actually going to be just straight up trying to accomplish that. Which, I mean, and this is all of this is things that might, objectives that might very well change as we go to a new section of the ship and realize, oh yeah, no, the situation here is untenable. We need to change our plans. Either way, yeah, no. Either way, I think getting the equipment on this deck would probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
Also, as a side note, I do have to go somewhat soon, unfortunately.
Like, it means like a good place to wrap up here.
For now,
That's up
we're
to you
gonna
guys.
end here. For now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have other stuff I have to do today.
Same here. Tomorrow's a work day, and I have a lot of stuff around the house. But yeah, we have a little bit of time to think on it, add a character, and honestly, I think our best bet is to get as much equipment and stuff done on this level. I think we should keep the codes as a trump card in case things start looking hairy, but for now, I'd say we avoid Marie's attention. That's just my 2
In
cents.
as much as one can.
As much as
Exactly.
one can, and also we have to try and avoid the bioprobes.
What bioprobes?
All I mentioned is that there were bioprobes that were supposed to be worked on and tested, not that they were still existent.
I know, but also transcendent technology.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Now then,
He actually does have a decent point. Like, we do have somebody with a TTI background in the party. Like, they might not be a threat, but as the brain in the jar said, it infects anything that is biological, and things have been on, we have empirical evidence that things on this ship have survived this long. So, it would be reasonable to assume that they could potentially be a danger. Not that basically doesn't affect our plans until it does, but, something to keep in mind. But anyway, was there anything else?
Oh,
All I'm going to say is Nusik is going to actively push for avoiding confrontation. That's pretty much it.
Oh yeah, and I leave the files of blood from the further excursion to Dr. Wayland.
well, you guys are good to go. You've got your 15 XP, a whole bunch of information now, and hopefully a plan of action by next week.
No kidding. All right.
Time to bump up that body.
Well, thanks for the game.
You
guys.
haven't bumped up your body yet?
You only get 15 a week. It takes time.
No, I mean, we had the 20 last week.
No, we got 15 last week.
Oh, 20.
No, we got 20.
Oh. Well, still, it takes 10 for the
'Cause
first tier
we-
and 15 for the second tier. It
Yep.
takes time.
Patience is the greatest power.
my body stat is still only at 1. I don't really have much plans to raise it.
Well, for now, for me, I'm going to increase my community up a little more so that I have 2 more technique points.
Wait, I am shutting down the stream. Say goodbye.
Bye, friends.
See y'all next week.